Hi, everyone. This is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
Hello, everybody. This is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James. I'll be handling the chat tonight, so please do chat with us. And you have come to Lighting the Way, Granny Rocks and Raps.
So every week on a Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time live, we broadcast to YouTube and Facebook, lighting the way, whatever topic seems to be appropriate for the time. And tonight I am going to talk about my cheat sheet disappeared. I'm going to be talking about fighting. Do you fight reality when you don't like it, of course, or do you just acquiesce and give in? And is there an alternative?
Yep.
I was liking it when you had the thing. I like to get the words the same. I know what I'm going to talk about, but I don't always remember the exact topic. There you go.
Right
anyway, right. You usually have that
do
for
you
me,
fight
right?
reality?
So, now, I got to tell you that this I find very tough to do myself. So, that is to find an alternative. Fighting reality. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, isn't it obvious? We have a friend already.
Yeah, Tracy says hello and sends a caring.
Hello,
Thank you,
Tracy. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being here. So, there are so many things in life that we don't like and we think are wrong. And I'm not saying that they aren't wrong or that they are wrong. I'm just saying, there are lots of things that we think are wrong.
We have another comment. Amy, hi Beth and James. Great topic and perfectly timed, as always, given several difficult situations I'm dealing with in just the last week.
Oh,
She
good.
sends a heart of love.
Good
Thank
that
you.
I'm not the only one. Thanks, Amy. So happy to see you.
And Todd says hi there and sends a heart of love and caring and all kinds of enthusiasm.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you,
Todd, too. Thank you for being here. So, I'm obviously not alone. So there are things that I really don't like. It could be I don't like the weather anymore because I don't like the fact that we have climate change and human beings won't do much about it. I don't like the way people behave and they treat each other. I don't like the fact that we're having trouble selling our house. I don't like the fact that houses are so expensive and interest rates are high. I don't like the way my husband treats me at times. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So now, in a situation like that, what's my first instinct? My first instinct is to fight. And sometimes fighting is a really good idea. Now, some other people, their first instinct is to acquiesce. Oh no, I can't do anything about that. Oh no, it's too hard. It's too difficult. Nothing will ever change. Well, is there an alternative to that? So sometimes we think that those are the only two ways to go. If I'm not fighting, I'm acquiescing, giving in, and if I'm not going to give in, then I have to fight. So fighting for me often brings with it anger. I'm indignant. This is terrible. Now, maybe the thing really is terrible. The way we treat other species, the way we treat each other. There are a lot of pretty terrible things. So it seems very natural that we're going to get angry. But what happens when we start getting angry and continue in that energy. Like, okay, I know I have to fight this, but I'm angry, and then I'm angry, and then I'm still angry, and then I'm angry and angry, angry, and it is just draining. But after a few days of that, or a few minutes, or a few seconds, I'm so exhausted because, with anger, you get all hyped up. I'm going to do something about that right now.
And if you get so exhausted that you can't fight anymore, do you acquiesce?
Oh, yeah. So the first thing is that I feel exhausted, but then I keep trying to fight, right? And then I'm pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. And I'm upset with myself that I'm not winning and I'm not getting where I want to get. And, it could happen. It could have something to do with our children and the way they're being treated. I won't let anybody treat my child this way. I'm going to go down and I'm going to tell them a thing or two. So, in the moment, it feels very empowering, but in the long run, it is exhausting and it is not empowering. It disempowers us to be squandering our chi, our life force, being in that state of mind. So while it's perfectly normal to have that state of mind for a little bit, to live in that is exhausting and will drain us of our life force, and we don't want that, and that'll weaken us. It's harder to fight when you have no life force. Well, then of course you can eat sugar and try to puff yourself up again, which makes it no better, of course. Now, okay, so now let's say you're the other kind of person and you say, well, you can't fight City Hall. It's just the way it is, and life is like that.
City Hall, you can't fight City Hall. Oh,
You
no.
can't fight City Hall.
Oh,
You
no.
can't. Woo!
You can't fight City Hall. You might as well give up.
All right, thank you very much, James. So have we all heard that song before? We hear it in ourselves sometimes, like, I'm so sick of this, I just give up. I just give up. I've talked to him 1,000 times about this. It's not making any difference. I give up. Now, how does that make us feel? Well, at first we may feel a little relief. Oh. And then we start thinking about the thing that was bothering us. Wait a minute. He can't get away with that. So we might end up angry again, or we act like, okay, I accept it. It's just the way it is. But inside, we're seething. We're so seething. I don't know anybody who seethes. Do you, James?
Nah.
Right? If you're going to say, nah. I never saw James seethe ever. Nah. Right. So that's, or we leave our bodies and pretend that we have surrendered. Oh, I am so spiritual that
I rise above it.
I rise above it. I am just like, I'm in the zone and nothing is going to bother me unless somebody steps on my toe on the way out of the spiritual center, or I finish my meditation and I discover that I have just pooped in my pants and I have to clean it up. Then I might be a little bit upset, right? Anyway, so what happens when we try to give up? We start seething inside, and so we're still angry, but now it's not even getting expressed.
We're turning it against ourselves too, angry at ourselves.
Exactly, and
over.
And that's just what I was going to get to. That's so important, is that we get to the point that we are angry with ourselves because we know we done wrong. So what are we supposed to do? Beth, come on. What are we supposed to do?
Pray tell, what is that alternative?
Well, I've been trying to figure that out all day. So, but the first thing, I know what it is, but it's really hard to do. It is we have to stop and look from a different perspective, we bring a different consciousness. See, one of the problems that we have is when we are fighting, then other people will fight us. And so we're all fighting each other, and nobody ever stops. Nobody gets calm and asks for a different perspective. We're too busy proving our point, proving it, prove. So anyway, then we just get it all revved up. But if we stop and we start asking, what other perspective could I bring to this? Now, it sounds so simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, but trying to come up with that other perspective doesn't sound so easy.
Well, it isn't. And the first thing is that we have to actually believe that there is another perspective, and we have to ask the question. So forget about the answer. We don't even ask the question because we're so busy resenting, trying to control, being angry, giving
rolling
up,
over.
rolling over.
Hopeless.
Exactly. Oh. So, hey, some of you guys out there, you can give us a comment on whether you have a tendency to fight or roll over. But how often do you really ask, is there another question I should be asking? Is there a different perspective? Is there a different state of consciousness to bring to this situation? So I want you to think about that for a second. How many of you and us, I have a tough time too, actually do that? Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a counselor, right? I do individual counseling, group counseling, and so on. So it's my job to help people, not to go in there and bash them. Now, sometimes I feel like bashing my clients because they're making me angry, right? But it is my job to help them. And usually I'm not personally involved. And so isn't it interesting? It always happens that in a session, I will stop and find another perspective. It always happens. Something comes to me. There is a bird flies by, and I say, did you see that bird? What kind of a bird was that? And then all of a sudden, that's the answer lies in that question, where I least expect it. But it's like an interruption of the energy, and there is something completely off the wall, different, not in my immediate thought process and vocabulary, that will allow me to allow you to look again at what you're doing, or thinking, or feeling. Now, if you were not my client, you probably wouldn't listen to me, and so it wouldn't work. But at least I might do it. So what I find so interesting is that I can do it pretty easily in sessions with my clients. But doing it myself, where I'm caught up in it, I can't even take that breath long enough to ask a different question. Looks like we have a...
Amy says, I do both. And I rarely consider that there could be another perspective, not to mention ignoring another perspective, even when I am aware of another perspective.
I love that, Amy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Isn't
When
that
in doubt,
something?
ignore.
I love what you're saying, because, there may be a little part of us that knows that there's another way to approach this, but we don't even want to know, because it could interrupt our anger, our resentment, our giving up. I mean, it's going to...
No, please don't take that away.
That's
from
right.
me.
It's going to interrupt our typical reactions to everything. We can't do that. Now, right now, I could say, you fool. Me, you, we're all fools. Why do we do that? Oh, I'm so angry at humanity because we do this. And I do look around. Oh.
Todd says, it's hard to hear James compared to Beth.
Oh.
don't know why.
I don't either. It looks like, just hold
I
it.
need to treat my microphone like an ice cream cone.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Let us know, Todd, if that's any better. So it's going to interrupt a pattern that we are fond of. Even if we don't like it, even if it's hurtful, we are used to it. It is, and what it also allows us to do is to continue to be angry or to give up. Do we really want to solve these problems? Or do we just want to rant and rage and be angry? Oh, Todd says,
Todd says, yes, that's better.
good. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is, do we even want a solution?
Amy, I didn't mean to write perspective so many times in a row.
Ha ha
Ha,
ha.
ha, ha,
It
ha.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Change your perspective on that. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. You said something meaningful. So that's just ego, right? Amy is like, what are they going to think of me? I use the word perspective. Remember that nobody knows who you are because they don't know your last name. So,
Don't worry about it.
right. So anyway, let's take a look at that question that I'm asking. Do we really want to solve the problem? Sometimes we do. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we would rather be angry. You know, when we are angry, we are not intimate. We are not connected. So being angry is handy. If we are afraid of being connected, being angry is...
Amy says, you're right. All ego.
All ego. It's all about ego, isn't it? So the first thing is we have to actually want to solve the problem more than we want to keep the behavior. Some of us really do. We are longing. We are so desperate to solve the problem that we are in anguish, and then it's really hard to have any kind of perspective because we're too wrapped up in the pain of what we're experiencing. And that's me. I tend to be so impacted by the pain of what I'm experiencing that I lose my perspective. I am too overwhelmed by my own pain. But once I know that, I have to do something about that.
Amy has another comment. I often would rather be angry just for the adrenaline rush.
Exactly. And that is so important.
I know that one.
When we are angry, we have an adrenaline rush. But you know, when we are defeated, it's, you know, you can only keep up that anger so long, and then you will be defeated, and then you feel so depressed. You know, there's both sides, and it gets pretty crummy. So I would like you to think about something now. And so this came up for me today because I was working with a lovely person, who was fighting me on something, and I knew something was off. And I couldn't get to it, and I couldn't get to it, and I couldn't get to it. And I don't know how, but finally I got to it. And it was, I had to get out of the loop and had to listen to my intuition and find another way in. And it worked. So that was the inspiration. Thank you so much, lovely lady. Because that was the inspiration for today's show. But now I want to be able to do that for me. And I sat there in my garden thinking about something that I was really angry about. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out another perspective. Can you believe it? And I had just had this experience. I knew that I was going to talk about this tonight, and I was going to come on and say, well, I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, it's hard. I acknowledge that it's hard. But I did look for clues. Just like, you know, if I was doing an intuitive counseling session and I see a bird passing and I just know that bird is a clue, so I can say, what does that bird mean? But I have to look for clues too in my life. And the universe, like bird droppings into my life, is going to drop clues. I may not recognize them, but there are going to be clues for a different state of consciousness, right? So, for example, one of the things that I thought of was what actually came up with my client was a combination of her not being afraid to confront something deep within her, but also having compassion changed everything. Having compassion towards the other person that she was angry at, not just in her, in the past, but in the present. I hope that you understand what I'm saying. And so I realized that the key was compassion. And it was easy for me to be compassionate because in that moment it wasn't my life. And so I sat there and I was thinking, what can I do to start feeling compassion right now in the situation that was about my life where I was feeling angry? So think about something that you're angry about or upset about and ask yourself, what would you think or what would happen if you just shifted out of your anger or giving up for the moment and started to feel compassion for the other people involved? I'm going to give you another example. So we're having a little trouble selling our house and we got another one and all of that. So I'm looking at this and I'm scared, our real estate agent's scared, James is scared, and I started to have compassion for the buyer who was not showing up. And suddenly it occurred to me that maybe there is somebody out there who really would want to buy our house, but they haven't sold theirs because they're facing the same terrible real estate market that I am. And I immediately calmed down. So that was an example, a very concrete example of how suddenly bringing compassion into the conversation really changed things. And certainly with my client, I know that I started to feel compassion for everybody involved, and suddenly my state of consciousness changed, and I was able to be more helpful. But it was really difficult when my client was fighting me because I couldn't get in there. Is this making sense?
Oh, yes.
All right. So how about it, guys? Why don't you think about some situation that you're in and what difference it would make if you suddenly started to feel compassion? Maybe we would start to notice that the other people are insecure or are struggling. Here's another perfect example of that, talking about real estate that, people can maybe relate to. I want to pay this amount and they want me to pay that amount. And, it's like, because I'm so aware of our problems, our financial problems. And I never think about, well, what are the financial problems that the seller of that house might be experiencing? It looks like we have another comment there.
Amy has a comment. My upstairs neighbor's dishwasher overflowed and has caused major damage to my condo. They are being really unfriendly about taking responsibility and haven't agreed to send me their insurance policy. I've actually tried to not just be angry. I'm trying to consider that they feel bad and embarrassed.
Yeah, and scared.
And scared.
They're probably scared, Amy. They don't want their insurance company to know. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying. And who knows why they don't want their insurance? Probably because they don't want their insurance rates to go up. So I realize that isn't going to help you. But you're in a condo, right? I wonder if your homeowners association can help you to get them to give you the information that you need. So just because um, they might be feeling embarrassed or they might be afraid of what might happen to their insurance rates, and even though you can be compassionate about that, you still need to get that, unless they're going to come over and pay you cash for whatever damage it is, you have to do that. So that's a really great example of in life what life is really like, because sometimes we have to do things that create pain for other people, but we have to do them anyway, right? But we can do them compassionately. So I hope that's helpful, because that's a very tough situation to be in. Just kind of breathe and say, I've been in situations like that. I know what that's like. I don't want to admit accountability for something. How many, and that is another way of bringing a different state of consciousness in. It's like, I am that. Yeah, I have wanted to avoid accountability too for something that I did and that I got caught doing. In fact, why did their dishwasher overflow? Not that it's never happened to us. But yeah, so that's a good example, because as you get into the specifics, you can see there are, different options you have of the ways that you can feel and behave.
Amy adds, oh, right. I can appreciate that they'd be scared regarding having to file a claim. I've been there in their situation before.
Exactly. So that helps. It doesn't mean you don't go after it. Or see, the thing is, it's not that you don't keep fighting for the right thing, or that sometimes you don't accept things because you cannot change them. It's the consciousness you bring to it. It's how you feel. If you can let go of feeling like a victim, and you can let go of feeling angry, and you say, well, I can understand this happening, but I still need to move forward. I'm sorry. And in your own mind, you're in a different place.
Yep.
And or in some situations, you just say, there's nothing I can do about this. And if I really take that in, I would prefer to use my energy for something else. And I am not giving in. I'm making a choice about how I'm going to use my energy. So now I don't feel bad about myself either.
In fact, I might even be doing them a service by helping them to step up to the plate and be accountable for the damage they have caused.
They may not feel that way,
but they might learn something.
So I can't believe it. We are out of time. Thank you for joining us for Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks, every Wednesday night on YouTube and Facebook at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we do musical improvs, magical improvs every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and on Facebook and YouTube. And it's all music. And they're wonderful programs. So we'd appreciate it if you like or love them, or give them a thumb up on YouTube, if you follow our page, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification button. What else? Oh, leave a comment after the show. We didn't have a lot of live viewers tonight, so leave your comment after the show. I will definitely get back to you. And share this program, because we all face these things, and we can help each other.
Yeah, it's like throwing them a lifeline.
Yes. And when we change the way we feel about a situation, sometimes automatically, without them even knowing what's gone on for us, they start to feel different and start behaving differently. And it just seems to come out of magic and out of the blue. So I better be quiet, because we are done.
Time to go.
Yes. So thank you for joining us for tonight. Please do share this program. I think we're all facing this kind of thing all the time, and it helps to have an opportunity to talk about it.
Yes, indeed. So bye-bye for now. So glad you could be with us tonight.